There you go.
There it is.
Film crickets chirping about movies. We'll put them two thumbs up and we rub them together. Make a sound that sounds like what we think about the movies. Film crickets chirping about movies. Chirping about, chirping about, chirping about, chirping, chirping, chirping about. Film crickets chirping about movies.
It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier, Chris Martineau, and Melanie Howerton. On this week's episode, the Film Crickets are joined from across the pond in merry old England from RebeccaVocalAthlete.com. International vocal coach, mentor, singer, songwriter, YouTuber, and entertainer, Rebecca Ray. By the way, I've been told I can do a pretty good Frank Sinatra. Anyways. Jay, Chris, Melanie, and Rebecca review the 1993 American comedy drama film, Mrs. Doubtfire. Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
Gotta love him. Steve, my man.
Boy.
That was a good one.
Welcome.
He's in rare form.
Welcome, friends. And yeah, I know.
That was
and
hilarious.
welcome to the
Hang
film.
Give me a second. Woo!
Sure.
That was a good one. That was good. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all right.
I'm actually still laughing. Wow. Humor feels good.
That's great.
Sorry. I didn't
all
expect the tongue roll thing, which
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that sound. My mother calling me. I'll be back. Mother, I'll be there. Sorry.
I couldn't wait
look.
for you to come on. I was probably the most excited about you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Right
because
now,
you're
Melanie,
so much
other two
fun.
not.
You're
Oh,
just
thank
so much
you.
fun. Yeah.
That's
Well-
sweet. And sometimes
Well, welcome
I
to
am.
welcome to the Film Crickets, everybody. And what we do is we review movies from 1980 to 1999, and we decide beyond a shadow of a doubt whether or not these movies stand the test of time. And I am Jay Fortier, along with my good friend Chris Martineau.
Hello, good morning.
Hey, good morning. And also my good friend and co-host Melanie Howerton.
Hello.
Hey. And then we are joined today by Rebecca Ray, and she is on the YouTube channel and also her own website and all that. And she is Rebecca Vocal Athlete, and we're excited to have you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Namaste,
Yeah.
everyone. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for
We
being
are
here.
we are all at peace here on the Sunday morning. We have an interesting morning gig where I'm actually like sort of awake and not kind of petering out by 7 p.m. as I usually am. So this will be interesting. They still have high levels of caffeine and such. And I've yet to have any liquor. That's within 1 hour from now. Kidding. It's a joke. It's a joke. But everybody, I'm so glad everybody's here. Rebecca, can I ask, I believe Mrs. Doubtfire, which is our movie this week, this is your choice. Was this your
That
doing?
it is.
Oh,
Absolutely.
So
I mean,
why
yeah.
Mrs. Doubtfire?
Why not? I mean, Mrs. Doubtfire is possibly one of my favorite, definitely my favorite comedy film.
Okay.
And then it branches into possibly one of my favorite films, along with all the other ones. But it's just, oh gosh, I was literally just watching it,
Okay.
and I know it word for word. One day
Okay.
I'll probably get a lot of copyright, so I won't. But it's just such a meaningful, joyful, funny, obviously with Robin Williams, and it's just, I think it's part of. It's just such a major film from the 90s, isn't it? And I think it resonates with so many people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it covers like the seriousness of like divorce and shit like that, which a lot of people go through. And I just think there's as funny and as magical as it was, there's also that underlining sort of themes that are there that
Sure.
happen to so many people. But I think generally, for me, it's pretty much more about the comedy, because I
Sure.
would just cry anyway. Like, oh my God, they're getting divorced. and it's just I'm so in love with Robin Williams. I'm a massive fan. And when he passed away, not to get too serious,
No, I know.
I was in mourning, like a lot of people. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not the only one who feels like we're all mourning. I was
Oh,
like
yeah.
bedridden. I'm like, oh God, I can't. It's like losing a father figure. It's like losing like a family member. So to watch something like that is very nostalgic, and it brings back a lot of memories. Since a very wee little girl, I watched it, So and then I just connected with it like so many people. And then watching it back now, even so, I would be like, oh, I missed that bit, because at that age I wouldn't understand the reference to that naughty thing he would say, or or even there's so many references to films that I didn't realize. Like Dances with Wolves, and I didn't realize also that one of the not directors or the producer had to go through the references that he would make improv wise and make sure you could tick them off. And I thought, wow. And there's just so many when you watch, you don't realize. You're like, ha ha ha, like, oh, look at this motif, about Sally Field's character.
Oh, yeah.
What's your Indian's name? Shouts with a fist. And she's like, are my children ready? And all that.
Yeah.
Like the references there he would just have, and like spontaneity.
My feeling I had when Robin Williams passed was kind of like the feeling I had when Prince died. Just because it seems, Lisa, to me, even though they're different roads, they're two people that have no other initiative in life but to be creative. And that's kind of the thing that drove them forward. Like they were constantly they had to be doing something, and maybe that leads to their downfall or not. Maybe that's trying to not cover up, but cope with other things that are going on in their own psyches, right? So anyway, Rebecca, before we get too deep into it, because we got to talk about the comedy of this movie, we got to talk about the raw laughs, but also I want to talk about a character study of the character himself that Robin Williams plays. And then the roles of the children. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So I can then surmise that you've watched this movie a lot, either on DVD, VHS, whatever the case may be.
Sir, what is that? Is it something
I know,
put in
right?
the fridge? I do not know. What is a CD player? Disgusting.
The VCP, the video cassette player, not the recorder.
Yeah.
Back in the old Blockbuster days. So we've seen that a lot. Melanie and Jason, what's your history with this movie? Seen it in the theater? How many times was it in high rotation? We'll start with Melanie. What's your history with this film?
I don't think I watched it in the movies. I can't remember the first time I saw it, but I watch it all the time. I don't know. It's in high rotation. I love Robin Williams. I've been watching him since, I'll kind of age myself here, but when he was on Mork and Mindy.
Oh, sure.
And my mom was watching that with me. And so I've just always loved him. So I think anything that he's in is good. And this movie is just hilarious. Like, everybody likes it. Of course, I've showed my kids and everybody I know. So I just watch it all the time. I don't know. It's in just high rotation.
Cool. Jason.
I had seen it on video, but I don't think I had seen it in the theater. I'm not. If I did, I don't remember. It was always great, like right from the start. So like, I mean, I'd seen it many times over the years. I think it had been a little while since I had seen it, though I knew it so well. So it's like when I watched it again last night, it was all there. So
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
It's
all there.
it's all
No,
there.
I'm just saying, like, it was all like, I didn't have to.
It's all there.
Let's put it this way: I could get up, walk out of the room, and I know what's going on still.
Yeah.
Like that's
Oh,
what
sure.
I'm saying. It's all there. I didn't
Yeah,
have
this-
to like go. Oh no, is he running right now? It's like,
Yeah.
I get it,
I will fully admit, so I saw it in the theater in 1993. I particularly remember that. I do remember renting it a couple of times. I don't know that I ever owned it, though I probably did watch it on the old pirated video that my grandmother had. My grandmother had 4 VCRs and would constantly renting and dubbing movies for our own watching pleasure, not selling it. So FBI can stay away. It's all right. She passed away, so you can't get that. You can't get that retroactively. But the fact of the matter is that I've seen it. I've known it. It's hard not to. It's an easily digestible movie. It's a Chris Columbus film. I mean, hello. The guy did first 2 Harry Potters. He did like a bunch of stuff that really is non-offensive, and it's not supposed to be.
Home
in any
Alone,
way.
right?
Home Alone. Yeah, Home Alone. Yeah. I think he wrote it too. I think it written and directed by Chris Columbus. So certainly it has those aspects. I rented the film, and I didn't have to. I was watching it, but I could do other things at the same time because I knew it. But I will say, and I think Rebecca brought this up, when you're younger, some of the things kind of go past you. and not just the references, but some of the themes. And as you get older, you realize kind of the stakes of the movie, and maybe what Robin Williams and I never remember character names. What's his name in the movie? Daniel. God, it just goes because he's such a figure. How do you not call him Robin Williams, right? That Daniel kind of goes through, right? So, but let's get into the movie. I'm going to start some questions. We're going to do the IMDb breakdown. Rebecca, get ready.
Can I just say one thing?
No.
Go ahead.
Bitch,
what? You ain't coming back on again. But yes, what do you want to say? I saw it at the cinema and I remember it very well, despite being like, work my age out, maybe 1 year old. No, a bit older than that. But I do remember it was like the premiere, but it wasn't like the premiere like Leicester Square thingy.
Sure.
But it was like, stop saying I have things to do. Let's turn that off. And so like, but I remember going and I remember sitting in the cinema and I remember roars of laughter and I'm like, yeah, I get it. But I remember like some of the bits like, oh, this is funny as a young little girl would think. But absolutely most of it went over my head, but because of the quick sort of, even everything. I do remember really well. I'm like, wow, this is a special moment. But even then as a kid, it was full. It was like full house. And my mum would say, yes, everyone was like, we went as a family before my family broke up. That was nice. At the same time as well, so prolific. And it was just one of those moments I remember thinking, this film is special. Like, I remember Fern Gully was special as well, which he also voiced. Batty.
Would you say, Rebecca, I think we might be in the same boat because I would watch Robin with my family. I would watch the stand-up specials, and I remember them just busting a gut. And like I would laugh at the references, and I had no idea what the references were. I just knew they were funny. Yeah, they sounded funny. The delivery was funny. Yeah. So that transcends the material if you can sell it like he sold it. So, all right. So let's get into it. IMDb breakdown of Mrs. Doubtfire. So here we go. Mrs. Doubtfire came out in 1993. It's PG-13. 2 hours and 5 minutes. After a bitter divorce, an actor disguises himself as a female housekeeper to spend time with his children held in custody by his former wife. Director Chris Columbus, writers Anne Fine, Randy Mayhem Singer, and Leslie Dixon. Based upon alias Madame Doubtfire. Starring, of course, as we mentioned, Robin Williams, Sally Field, Pierce Brosnan, hunky but kind of thin. I thought he'd be a little more buff, and when I saw him out of the shirt, like, he's a skinny man. Yeah. Harvey Fierstein. Hello, David. When I sent my mother to Atlanta. And Lisa Jacob, Matt Lawrence, Robert Prosky, and Martin Mull, which is another one that we see often in movies. So let's get into this movie. So, guys, we have to talk about the elephant in the room. Okay.
Prosthetic.
How do they not know it's their dad?
Oh, I know. It's like
I'm just saying.
The eyes.
Because the acting's so good.
Oh yes.
Right. Yeah. No, but it's funny too. Like, you say that, and I'm thinking also, this is somebody who was married to him. There's no way she didn't hear a million different voices that he's done. Like, because this guy did voices for a living. Okay, so she heard him go, oh, hello, like in all these different like high pitched different things. So when he's calling her on the phone and saying, like, I am Job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's doing all these different. Right. There's no way she wouldn't have. Yeah.
I love that one.
Don't make me get the whole hello. But when he went back to her to the conversation, I noticed he went hello, but it was very much Doubtfire.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So on the same note, I think she would have heard that. That's like, oh, I've heard these like 12 voices you have here. There's one aspect that absolutely wouldn't hold up, and that's the point where he says, I don't do well with the boys because I used to be one.
Yes.
I used to be one.
And I was like, well, I don't know. Like today, that probably wouldn't be written like that.
Pretty much most of the things wouldn't be allowed because you're not allowed anything these days.
But because he is so brilliant, it works.
I think to this day, so just talk about like general funny things. There is, I still to this day say it was a drive-by fruiting.
That's my favorite
yeah.
line. I love that line.
Yeah.
That is so cute.
No, must have been a drive-by.
Did you not tip the waiter?
I love that. I love that. And I have the trivia on that of course, Robin Williams came up with that on himself. They didn't know he was going to say that, but it was so cute. I love that. I wrote that down in my notes when I was watching it. I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
So
One of the best scenes, isn't it?
The reason that Robin Williams becomes a success is earlier films kind of flop because he has a lot of like Water, I think was one. There's a couple of movies, even like World According to Garp, not a flop, but not kind of a heavy movie certainly at all. But he only starts getting success once he gets to Good Morning Vietnam because the director allows him to riff. Right? They didn't want Robin in this high energy. They wanted him because he's a good actor. He is a good actor, there's no doubt about it. Just look at Good Will Hunting. But once you let him riff, then that's his thing. And I think what this movie, some of the strength that this movie plays into, but also adds to its runtime, is they allow him, and this is kind of classic in a lot of Robin Williams movies, particularly even Aladdin, where they just kind of like, okay, Robin, we're going to do the same scene 5 times, improvise each one, go. And we have that one when he's at the unemployment agency.
Yeah.
And he is just saying, Rebecca, give me a couple. I don't remember. What?
Oh, it was at the end when she's like, do you find yourself a humorous man? There was a time and a place. But today you've proven me wrong.
Yeah.
It's like,
But obviously she was laughing within the takes, like, ha ha, because you're not human and robotic if you do not laugh. So obviously she found it hilarious. But what do you mean? Oh, so was he start? Oh, do you have any skills? And he's like, yes, I do. I do voices. What do you mean you do? You could clearly see by her demeanor she's not impressed already, and everything's going to be shot down. I do voices. Yeah, we've come to this place looking for intelligent life. Oops, we made a mistake. Happy to be in America. Don't ask for a green card. Lost you in the Lost Way, and then the bit about the hot dog as well. Oh, when he did Moneypenny. Look at me now, Moneypenny. I want to do that, but we'll get to know ya. And I don't know why I was like laughing my freaking head on that.
Yep.
Oh,
That's all.
it was just one by, there's many times within that film where it's structured, not structured, but where he's allowed to do that kind of thing. And Figaro, which he referenced, which was prior in the beginning, the intro of the film is when, he was doing that. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. And all this kind of stuff. But I just thought he was playing reference just to the Figaro. And I thought, where did he get that from? That little, the little thing that
sounds like Bugs Bunny.
Oh yeah,
like when I was listening to that, it sounds like a Bugs Bunny thing.
Well,
like
they are referencing
that.
Yeah, it's the What's Opera Doc, and the Barber of Seville from the old Looney Tunes. But
In
what
fact,
I think is,
if I got the right one, I think it's Chuck Jones that did the animation at the beginning sequence.
Yep.
So, and that's the whole Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
kind of thing straight away. How funny! He's like, I cannot do it. Ugh, oh, my lungs, they are turning black.
Yeah.
Down, you're going to do the goddamn show or not?
Yeah.
And then, they're buyers and he's looking over to them. They're like, fagging. I was like, we don't have that anymore, smoking in places. But anyway.
Which is kind of funny because he was getting in trouble for that with his boss, not to improvise, but that's literally what he's known for in real life. And everyone's let him do that ever since he came out in the 70s and with Mork and Mindy. Mork and Mindy was almost entirely ad-libbed from him. So he's definitely known for that. And Columbus let him do as much as he wanted to do in this. And sometimes they said that he wanted to do takes like 15 or 20 times because he's such a perfectionist. So he's so fun to work with, but at the same time, he was a little bit hard to work with because he just kept wanting to do it over and over and over and over again to get it out of his system to make sure he had it the way he wanted it to be. So I don't know.
And he had like 4 cameras on him. Chris Columbus was like, we're gonna get it all.
Yeah, they said 4 cameras all the way around, like a documentary or something. Because next.
Yeah.
They wanted to catch
let the magic happen.
Yeah.
What's interesting? Oh God. Well, let me just.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm in fucking reverse suddenly. But what I think is interesting is that at some point, because a lot of these films let Robin off the chain, they let him do his improv, and then they let him do the serious acting moments, which obviously he can do. But then there's also the scene where they're trying to make him up and decide what Mrs. Doubtfire is going to look like, and they must. When that Barbara Streisand is so
oh my God,
fantastic, and the stuff from Fiddler on the Roof. And they said, they must have said, look, we need you to do, what do you want to do? We're actually going to, they pre-planned the scene, but it felt improvised. right? And that's kind of genius because they let him a little bit of controlled chaos. What would you come up with if we were to make you up twice? And Harvey Fierstein is just the best. He's just so fun. I love him and his partner. It's like
so
any
funny.
closer you'd be mum. Like it's
and that voice.
Oh, I love him.
I just think,
David,
wow, what a voice.
Why did I just send my mother to Atlanta?
any closer. I'm
She wants to
so
know what's
happy.
Yeah. And matchmaker, make me a match.
Yeah. Oh,
And then
God.
what does he call? What does he reference him? Uncle Frank and Aunt Jack. And
Yes, I was just
why
gonna
is
say
that
that.
so funny?
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. I guess when they started doing the makeup, when he was like, he looked like a little Jewish woman. They didn't.
Oh.
They started doing the makeup, and he came up with that on his own because he thought it just kind of looked like that. And
It just looks it.
yeah, and then for the Barbara Streisand thing, he didn't know the words to that
The
song.
cross eye.
So they had to teach him how to sing that because he had none of the words. He didn't know what to sing.
Right.
But I thought that was cute. That actor that you were just talking about taught him the words to that song.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? I
Harvey
have it written
Fierstein.
in. Yes. He taught him to sing that song.
So
I gotta say, in the improv scene with the unemployment lady, she makes it 10 times funnier by the straight face. Like she is so brilliant because it's so it's so stoned.
Sure.
I know, but that makes it 10 times funnier because
I know.
Do you
it's
consider
going-
yourself a humorous man? Well, there was a time in my life. It's just that, like,
Yeah.
It's just
Reply.
like it was really like because that makes
the
him
contrast.
that much funnier. Like it's
Yeah.
just because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and then he keeps like, well, I did think I was.
Yeah,
and, like,
there was a
but
time
thank you
and a place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, it reminds me of the contrast with you go and box those and you ship them, and it's just the very subtleties that you may, when you really watch it. And I'm like a freaking hawk now, a little bit like music videos and after you box them, you ship them. All the luck, smart ass. And it's just the way
Yeah.
he walks back, and even just like in the background, you see him walking away. You just shuffle slowly. Think I made a friend, and it's like.
well, there's
just
also
that
awesome.
contrast.
there's also that point when he says he steps in on the science program and it's as boring as shit, and the producer's there and he starts bagging on it. And he
Jonathan
says,
Lundy.
hi, I'm whatever. And he goes, hi, I'm Daniel, former employee.
Yeah.
That is,
He
I
went,
mean,
but
if
then
we're-
he replies, if you look at it like he agrees, or like,
Yep. You are.
yeah.
And we can also say that, like, just going, I just want to talk about the raw comedy because it's all right there. The movie is set up for the last scene. The last scene in the restaurant at Bridges, where we're gonna have to have a moment because rather than just be honest with what's going on, you dodge honesty to save your own skin. I mean, that's basically what it is, right? It's easier in his brain. Rather than tackle the problem head on, it's easier just to put up this facade, and eventually you cannot sustain the facade forever. And the movie is about when does it all start crumbling down. And so at the end, when we get to Bridges and we see this perfectly choreographed comedy scene, it's very reminiscent of Noises Off. You don't know what bad. Anyone see Noises Off? The play Noises Off? No.
It's been a while.
It's very good. Anyway, the bottom line is it's a bunch of errors that compound on top of each other that keep overlapping. And he's at the center of it, trying to be in control of everything. And we, as we're watching Robin, know he's a genius, but he can only keep it up for so long, and you're waiting for him to slip. And it's so, every beat in that scene is perfect. I mean, to the point where he's hammered, and rather than trying to keep the facade up, he has to take a side challenge to somehow sabotage his ex-wife's boyfriend with the cayenne
With the
pepper. Yeah, like he
So-
can't just stay on the mission. If you stayed on the mission, but no, I have to do this. Like that's insane, but it's so funny. I don't know. That to me, the whole movie sets up the end, and the end pays off perfectly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I want to get people's take on that.
Well, I just have to say one thing real quick about Sally Fields. When I remember watching that a long time ago when I was younger, I kept thinking, my God, she acts exactly like she did when she was in Sybil. You remember that? When she's having like a psychotic break in Sybil? she is acting the exact
We have to
same
go.
way.
We have to go now. We have to go. We have to go.
Yes, exactly
Yeah.
that point right there. She sounded just like she did in that movie. Just reminded me of it. But go ahead, Rebecca. Go ahead. I just wanted to say that one thing.
I just wanted to continue doing the acting then.
Oh, go ahead.
You can do that. Do whatever you
We
like.
have to go now. We have to go. We have to. It's like all these different.
Yeah.
She certainly has. She has frantic and controlled on lockdown. I mean, she has got that energy where, and that's what fuels the beginning of the movie too. She's trying to hold it together, but it's simply too much and starts to come apart at the cracks. When eventually it's just, I'm just gonna lose my mind. Oh, when she says, it was you the whole time. It was you the whole time. Time. Like, oh, what did I say to you? Like that sort of thing. It's really good. Obviously, she does kick butt in the movie. All right,
really
so
good.
I gotta bring up a question here. I have. So now that we've gone through, we're gonna bring up the comedy as we go along. But I just gotta ask: is Daniel a good father?
I mean, if you were to hear that story, like Joe down the road, what a nutter! Can't believe he did that. Dressed up as a woman to get his kids. We always knew he was a bit crazy. Can you say that anymore? Who knows? But whatever. So yes, but to the detriment of whatever the word I can't think of. Yes and no. You know, like he's a great father. Like he's interactive. He's present. You know, he's there. He's not. I'm working all these hours. You know, he's there. He's with the. He's with the kids. He took extreme measures. Funny to be with his children, which I think like 100% of people wouldn't do because it's or do you hear stories like that, you know, Joe down the road or whoever down the road? There's no one called Joe. I'm just saying.
It's always Joey that's crazy. What's your problem with Joe,
Oh,
Rebecca?
Joe. What have you got with Joe, man? Nothing. I just mean it could be like Joe's got problems, you know. I don't know.
Where do you guys stand? Like, do you think he's a good dad?
I think so, and I'll tell you why I think so.
Why?
Because you picture the opposite of the guy who doesn't care at all to be with them. So, for instance, I would rather see the guy. I know he's going about it wrong, and not just when dressed as a woman to be with them, but also when he's being like, you know, the cool dad that comes in and saves the day with the big birthday party. Like, of course he's wrong there, but it's still because he cares about these kids. He wants to be with them at all times, you know. So in that sense, compare that to the neglect guy, you know, that doesn't give two shits about his kids, that won't be there, you know. So I would say, yeah, you know, in that sense, yes, he is.
All right.
Because if the court were like, oh no, you're allowed to see them half and half or however it works, you know. But there wasn't. It was like, because you don't have a job and you've got nowhere to live, we're going to give Sally Field 100% of the whatever you call it, you know.
Custody,
so he was like, right, since you can I swear?
Whatever you like.
I'm gonna have to go to the extremes because. And when the lawyer turned to him, was like, I think we gotta. I think that was great or whatever he says. And he didn't shake his hand because he's thinking, it's not really great because there's no way I'm able to see my children. You didn't do the thing you were meant to do. Just because I don't have a job, just because doesn't mean I'm a bad father. It's just the circumstances are leading me to have no money and nothing to eat.
But also the law is saying that for right now, but you can then have to prove that you can provide, right? They didn't say forever.
It's almost like he didn't want to. That wasn't good enough for him, right?
Well,
so
sure.
He had to go to the extreme measures, and you know, make little cappuccinos with his you know, like the extremes of that scene.
Okay.
But to me, I think that he's a great dad because he's super loving. He's attentive. He cries if you just to get the thought of not being able to see his kids.
You got this thing
He'll
about
do
guys
anything
crying though.
for them. I know, shut up. So he'll do anything for them. He's not a good husband. It doesn't mean he's not a good dad.
Right.
It's the husband where he's not good, where the house is always a mess. When she has to come home, she has to be the bad person. She has to want to clean everything. You know, she doesn't want to come home and clean everything up. Like, you know, when she was talking to him in that dining room when she thought it was, you know, the nanny, about why it was hard to be married to him. He is a bad husband. She didn't like who she was. She didn't like the kind of person she was when she was around him because she felt like she was always having to be the bad one. So he's a bad husband, but he's an amazing dad. And it really bothered me in the court system that they think that they could like take all custody away from him because he's an amazing father. You don't have to have money to be a good father because she's doing well enough for the both of them. He just has to provide safety and love and whatever until he gets a good job. To me, I think that was horrible that she took the kids away from her at the end. I mean, she realized that when it was happening that she had made a mistake and she had felt bad about it. And
the kids actively said as well, why can't we be with Dad when they were meeting Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're big for a lady.
They wanted
and all
to
that
be
kind
with
of
him. He
commentary.
wanted to be with them. He's a great dad. He just was a shitty husband. And he didn't mean to be a shitty husband. It's just, he's kind of like
Which
a
we
big
never
child,
saw, though,
you know?
did we? I wanted to see almost a little bit of their marriage prior. Because all we saw was like, maybe that's what it was all the time. Like, jump around and him, like, dancing away with bloody...
Rebecca, I agree, but I think it's acted so well that all of that latent animosity and I can't think of the word right now, but those bad feelings that they have for each other, it's so obvious.
More on her part than his, because he was like, no, Miranda, let's stay together.
Yeah.
I can't, you know. It was
No,
like, that's
he
it.
just
That's
wants to
it.
stay together because I think he needs approval from everybody. And in staying together, and he's got some codependency problems, I think. I mean, he said he's addicted to his children, quote, addicted. And I think he's always looking for their approval. Now, I'm not going to say he's a bad dad. So this is not going down that road. He's a terrible husband. And that's okay. You know, they just weren't meant to be together. That's it. Bottom line.
Well, maybe you could say she was a bitch and she needs to chill the fuck out.
No,
Hey,
she's being a grown-up. She's being a grown-up. He's not a grown-up. And
I just felt like if he took some of the Mrs. Doubtfire-isms, very responsible, cooked well, not when she paid $158 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But she took some of he took some of Mrs. Doubtfire's sort of. He's a he, she. Okay.
She's a he. Yeah. That's funny.
You know, took on some of the straighter, if you know what I mean, like
More responsibilities when they were married
Yeah.
that he wasn't getting.
would have been perfect. Would have been good.
And she just kind of outgrew love for him because
Yeah.
all these things
Having
were
another
happening, and she
child,
said she
like-
so often cried herself to sleep, and he didn't know it. But that's the thing; he didn't know it. She never really talked to him enough about it. Maybe he would have changed, but I don't think he outgrew love for her. I think it took him a while to kind of feel more resentment to her because he didn't know how bad it was because she never talked to him about it.
Yeah.
Kind of kept
And when he
it
said about
bottled
doing
up.
therapy, she was like, I think we're too far gone for that, or
Yeah.
whatever she said.
And he
Well,
looked kind of
I was like,
shocked.
oh,
like,
you
really?
don't actually want to help.
Well,
Yeah.
once you've made up your mind, you've made up your mind. It doesn't matter what therapy
Thanks
you
for
go
letting
to.
me know, but
Yeah.
Carry
No,
on later.
with Pierce Brosnan. Oh,
But
I see
so-
now. It took you 5 minutes.
but they also imply that she kind of has a crush on Pierce Brosnan at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, straight away with the...
Yeah.
Like almost right. But that's fine. I can't say you blame her a lot because again, she's being a mom to her husband, which cannot last long in a relationship, right? And we're not asking Robin to change because you can't change him. He can be a little more responsible, but he's still him. I guess my thing that I want to say is he's immature. He's fun to watch. He wants to be their. My takeaway is he wants to be their buddy. He wants to be his kid's buddy. He wants to be involved with all the fun stuff. But from what we see, we don't see him getting into the nitty gritty of actual parenting. Parenting is not being a buddy. It's being the enemy sometimes because you have to do this. And what I wonder is under that particular relationship, it just developed into the point where I'm just going to do the fun stuff. Sally Field's going to do all the terrible stuff. And he knows that once he becomes Mrs. Doubtfire, now suddenly he's getting them cleaning stuff, doing their homework, washing up. He never did that before. And that's why the kids wanted to be with Dad, because he was their buddy. So when did he learn the lesson? You know what I mean? Like, is he I don't know that he starts as a good necessarily. He's loving 1,000%. It's not like he's neglectful, but like just because you bring home, give me 1 minute. I'm almost done. My rant. Just because you bring home a petting zoo, doesn't make you a good dad. And why?
Especially when you just lost your job.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You can't hold down a job because you're a little self-destructive, and I think he's a little codependent on his kids' love. He's always looking for like we love
Where's
that.
his
we love,
mates? Where's his friends?
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
Yeah, he
You're
doesn't,
right.
and that right.
You know?
So, is Robin Williams, is Danny codependent?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
What do you think?
Aren't we all? I mean, no one's
I
perfect.
mean, in one way or another, right?
Yeah.
So why is it
Here's my list.
if he could parent like he did as Mrs. Doubtfire? It just seems to me, and again, I'm not criticizing the movie's great. I'm just like putting it out for conversation. If he could just turn on parenting like that, like where did he get those skills? Because he was
I'll tell you.
He had to grow up a little bit.
Okay. So
That's
suddenly
what
he knows what's
No.
good for his kids, or what?
No, here's the thing.
Tell me.
He
Had
got
to.
the job. No,
Yeah.
he got the job as Mrs. Doubtfire, so he's actually working for Sally Field, right?
Yeah.
So she's going to get rid of that person if he's not doing a good job. So, right,
Sure.
he has no choice but to make things. So he wants to make sure he keeps the job, so he gets to stay with them.
Mm-hmm.
So he like basically teaches himself how to behave because he has no choice but to do that. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, in order to keep that position, he has to learn how to behave responsibly, and then actually learns how, like, internally.
Well,
Right.
and also the old lady was coming to his own apartment to make sure that it was cleaned up, to make sure that he was cooking healthy meals for the kids, to make sure that he had a job. Like, so she was on one side making sure he was doing this, and then Sally Fields was on the other side as his job, making sure he did all these things. So he did have to kind of grow up kind of quickly and prove everybody that he could be the way he is. I think. I mean, he has a little bit of growing up to do on the show.
Sure. I kind of throw it out there just to have the discussion on like what this character is, because he's sad on the inside. There's no doubt about that. Like they're both kind of damaged goods in one way or another, because they're not good for each other. It's just interesting to see like this is a character development kind of situation, right? That's all. I mean, to me, it's deeper than they're making it, and the fact that you can have this discussion means that you have pretty much a good movie, right? You have a movie that's well crafted. It's not just black and white, it's gray. And there's definitely gray in both of those characters. You know what I mean? Is Sally Field too tough? No. Sometimes, yes. You know what I mean? I don't know. Am I crazy or what?
Well, no, it's just the film was actually, this isn't my trivia, but the film is actually supposed to be a lot darker. It's supposed to be a little bit more of a drama, going through divorce and what kids were going through during divorce, with some comic about it. But all those scenes were cut out.
Okay.
And then there's a lot cut out of this movie. There is so many deleted scenes in this movie, I didn't even bother to write them down. And then Robin Williams said that he made this movie to kind of make up for not getting to spend enough time with his own kids. And
Sure.
then Sally Fields was kind of going through a divorce at the same time she was making it. Either way, but it was supposed to be a lot darker. It was supposed to be more drama.
Okay. Cool.
And they cut stuff
You want
out.
to hit TMI?
Good. I'm glad
Sure.
they cut it all out.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
right?
I know, me too.
It's kind of a,
Who just wants to watch life?
yeah, I know.
I
It's,
know.
it would turn into a
I was
Hallmark.
like-
But then it wouldn't it turn into a Hallmark movie?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to
Yeah.
see that. So okay, go
No,
ahead.
I
Melanie.
don't.
Well,
personally.
before we do the TMI, I just want to talk about a couple of my favorite little parts. And when he gets his pocketbook stolen, and he's in the, like, back off, beat it, asshole.
Yeah.
And then in the fancy accent, he broke my bag, that bastard.
Yeah.
And then it was so cute. And then he's like, I love that. And when he's walking up to Pierce Brosnan's car, he's like, Loverboy's here. What a beautiful little car for Don Juan. And then he pulls off the hood ornament. He goes, it's so sad when that happens.
Yeah.
And then the
love that.
interactions as well. Do you want that? I saw it. I suppose you can help me. And
Yeah.
this. But it's also the sound effect of it when he takes it off. It's
Yeah.
like, my subwoofer is like, like the ability of him taking it off. It was like a He-Man moment. But the interaction with the stew sounds more like a thick soup than a neem.
There's just so many.
But you could
so
tell
many
what
things.
a lovely, I can't remember what he says, but a family moment. And I can't imagine that feeling. You're walking in and then your kids are with another person, and
Oh,
like,
God. That'd be
and
horrible.
and they're all like, "Oh my God, we love you still. You're like your father. We never had."
Yeah.
And then the interaction between him and Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, that was the
freaking
best.
hilarious. So
All right,
funny.
so
Adventures.
when he was like,
Oh, the
touch me
discussion.
again and
Shaking
I'll
of the
ground
hand.
you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
let me just sit
Literally.
here and watch you move in on my family. You know?
The
Or
comment.
when
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
talking to Pierce Brosnan at the restaurant about the power tools in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Oh man, I did not know that as a kid.
There's no
I
way
really didn't.
Pierce Brosnan wasn't dying laughing the
Yeah,
whole time.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He must have been dying.
Even when he drops the teeth in the wine and he's like,
Love
Carpe
that.
dentum.
Carpe diem.
Yeah.
Sees the
That
teeth.
was the best. And even though he's so mean to Pierce Brosnan, he's still trying to help him with the fork, trying to get it out.
I know. But also the best is also at the end, after the Heimlich and everything like that, and they're like, "Sorry about that, man." Like they're giving each other like kind of like an appreciative, like
Yeah.
like elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kinda
And
like-
Pierce Brosnan
yeah.
realizes why everything makes sense now, why Mrs. Doubtfire hated him so much.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of think, oh, you think back.
Yeah.
But the when he's getting drunk on liquor.
Yes,
you
that
know,
was hilarious.
Alcohol, liquor. I love that liquor. And then he's just chopping it back. And obviously he gets more drunk and drunk and drunk. But it's
Yeah.
the conversation like, does your woman have a lady or something? You know how he's trying to
How
get
he's
in on
going
this. Like,
scallywag. You scallywag. I was like,
yeah,
what is
you
this,
scale it like boys
1940s?
club. Oh, yeah. I love it. And the physicality of seeing Robin Williams as Mrs. Doubtfire playing football, you know, like running up the stairs after he's got
Yes.
the food, just silly little things like that. I thought.
And the music in
You
it
know what I
was
like?
really good. And when he was dancing
Yeah.
with the, you know, with the
Oh,
broom and the
Smith.
vacuum and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, looks like
I like-
a lady.
Go,
I
Jim.
love it.
I like the bus driver.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Freaking, like, I like that
I felt bad
Mediterranean
for
looking
him
woman.
because he really
Actually.
liked her.
I know.
Like a genuine love for her.
Yeah.
And seeing the hairy leg with the legs open
And he didn't
and
even
leg
mind.
exposed and hair.
Yeah.
I like
the
that
way God
Mediterranean
made
looking
ya.
women.
The natural.
Yeah,
That's the way God
absolutely.
made you. Nice and natural there.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's
and,
so-
and even when he
bad.
first meets her, he goes like that, looks, and then looks up like that because it's such a big figure for a little dainty lady, you know,
Yeah.
old lady.
Yeah.
Just that.
That's so
But
cute.
he broke them all when he made me, dear. He made
Yeah.
me very
Yeah.
special. He sure did. But there's that lingering look, mouth open, gaping.
Yeah.
love it.
If I ever,
It's just like-
meet this son of a bitch that invented heels, I'm gonna
Oh
kill
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah,
Now you see what women deal with all the time, you know?
yeah. Mm. Slippers.
Yeah.
Ready for the TMI?
Yeah. I don't have a lot.
It's time for TMI with Melanie.
Listen to this. I am in the bathroom right before the movie starts. And I'm in the stall, and there's no toilet paper.
Mine are at home in a display case above my bed.
TMI, my friends.
TMI?
Too much
I used to say
information.
don't go there, but that's lame.
Now, here's Melanie with your timeless movie info.
All right, Melanie. Bring it.
Okay. Let's see. The budget for the movie was $25 million, and box office was $441.3 million. And then, like I said, there was too many deleted scenes for me to even go into any of them. And apparently, everybody and their brother in the world wanted to be in this movie or was supposed to be in this movie, so I didn't even bother to write their names on there because there was way too many people. It was shot over a period of 2.5 months. The character, kind of like Mrs. Doubtfire, was first performed by Robin Williams at a show called Andy Kaufman. He did at Carnegie Hall. He was supposed to be pretending to be Kaufman's grandmother. And then the idea of the character came from his own childhood nanny. Miss Doubtfire's accent was inspired by Bill Forsyth, the Scottish director that Robin Williams had worked with on Being Human in '94. And he Williams drew inspiration from the voice Margaret Thatcher and Julia Child. And then a lot of it comes also from Anne Fine's book. And then, let's see. He drew on his own, like to kind of, for the more dramatic scenes, he was kind of thinking about, he said, his own divorce that he went through with his first wife. And then Robin Williams decided to test out the believability of Miss Doubtfire's character by going into adult bookstores and sex shops to buy toys.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then, during the, we were talking about how the teeth fall into the glasses.
Yeah.
The cast did not know that he was going to do that. And so all the reactions were 100% genuine because they were just shocked. The crew, everybody was just dying because they had no idea that he was going to do that. And then, how I was saying that, like, Pierce Brosnan must have just been cracking up the whole time. Like, I don't know how you could keep a straight face with him ever. Apparently, he was purposely the entire time filming trying to get him to not be able to say his lines and to crack up. Every scene that Pierce Brosnan was talking, he was in the background doing things to try to make him lose his concentration. And he tried to do it with Sally Fields though too, and she said it didn't work. She was in an interview some other time saying that it didn't work on me. And then let me see.
How?
I don't know.
I know.
I don't understand that.
Oh my God, I would have loved
She did
working
get
with
it.
him. Oh my.
Yeah, she said she just would not let him do it but he was cracking everybody else up. Harvey, is it Fierstein?
Firestein.
Had been so impressed by Robin Williams and comic relief of his impression of himself that he heard when this movie came out that they were looking for a character to play his gay brother. He was all over it. He wanted to do it so bad. And then we talked about.
Did you hear how he approached him?
No.
Like he showed up at like the studio or whatever where he was, and he goes, "How dare you do my voice?"
No.
And not ask me to. It was just kind of like it was a way to get his attention, and he goes, "Yeah, let's
I love
him."
that actor.
He's
He's awesome.
so. Yeah.
And then the animals in the beginning of the movie, they had to be auditioned first to see if they could behave on set.
Oh, all right.
And then let's see, Stu was originally scripted to be an arrogant villain, but Chris Columbus felt that it hurt the relationship between Miss Doubtfire and him. So Stu was rewritten to be more of the perfect potential replacement for the father and the kids.
And
And the makeup for Miss Doubtfire took about 4.5 hours each day, and the bodysuit was made out of spandex and beans, kind of like a beanbag chair. The scene where Daniel knocks down the prosthetic mask and it goes flying out into the street required over 50 takes. The actor playing the bartender at the pool scene that we were talking about is William's half-brother.
Oh.
Miss Doubtfire says the word deer 101 times.
Nice.
The scene where Miss Doubtfire catches fire at the stove, when she burns her boobs. Apparently there was like a metal spoon that he was supposed to pick up, and he did really actually burn his hands, and he starts freaking out and swearing. And they kept filming because they were like, "Oh, good, he's ad-libbing." No, he really did burn his hands.
Oh no!
Redid it again. They took that spoon out. And then let's see. After Robin Williams' death, a lot of fans of his and this movie went to the real address of this house, which is 2640 Steiner Street, and set up a memorial for him. And this film was, this was funny. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was re-edited on YouTube. The fans made little pieces of the trailer of this movie to make it look like it was a horror movie.
Oh
no!
And I did see that on Facebook, and it was so funny. They're like, "Mrs. Doubtfire," and just seeing him walking along. You got to look that up on YouTube. Mrs. Doubtfire, the horror movie. It is so funny. It's supposed to look like a commercial for a horror movie, and it's Miss Doubtfire. That's all I have. There was too much to write. So that's
excellent.
Now, for final judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the final judgment.
All right. Now it's time for final judgment. Didn't mean to cut you off there, Melanie. When you said that's all I have. So it's time where we talk about how well the movie holds up today, and I don't think we're going to have too much trouble. So let's start with Chris.
Oh, hi. Look, the movie The movie holds up. It's very, very entertaining. My only issue that I would have is, and again, I think about I am not trans. I'm not in the trans community. I do know that some people had a problem, or some trans people had a problem with like Silence of the Lambs, because the first portrayal of someone that was trans was a serial killer. And in this movie, there's a lot of like, they kind of discuss him dressing up as a woman as deviant behavior and things like that. Yeah. And so there's a lot. The jokiness is, oh my God, a man dressed as a woman? That's hysterical and odd. I don't know that aspect would fly, but I don't know how else you do it. I'm not poo-pooing the movie. It obviously is cool. I just don't know. It holds up. I just don't know if you can attack the movie at the same angle as they attacked it in 93, but times are different then. So that's all. That's the only thing I would say about that. Rebecca, your turn. Hit it.
Christopher.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. I'll probably speak on a personal level, because if I get into trans and this, because I have no idea. I just
that's what I mean.
Don't put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It in terms of the comedy, which is sort of like A star, you know, and I come from a place where it's just nostalgia, and I don't add in all the problematic this, that, and the other that would occur nowadays. But I just go with how I feel, how it made me feel, how it kind of, wouldn't say got me through my parents' own like separation and divorce, which was so much fun. But it was literally at the same time as well, the hovering parents. I know, I'm watching Mrs. Doubtfire, you can go, I don't need therapy. But yeah, it was just, I don't know, like literally watching it today, I probably laughed more today than I ever have watching it, and I've watched it so many times, like I know it off by heart, all the facts, all this, all that, you know. But I'd just say on a personal level, yeah, absolutely. But is it meant to be like generically worldwide? Would it stand up for people who don't like comedy?
Yeah,
in that sense.
Yeah, no, it's laughs all day long. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Political.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, for me, yeah, it does. Well, in terms of comedy, it still stands because I was laughing my head off. But you know how we have, how the music is there's a quote I forget, but about the memory to the music and all the scenes. It just, I think just sometimes let's not argue, and can't we just be at peace for once and not, you know, how everything has to, there's so much animosity in life, there's so much like he said, she said, all this kind of stuff. I sometimes want to take a piece of art and enjoy it as I fucking wish to, whether it's music, whether it's paintings, whether it's this, and sometimes not, you know, there can be debates, but I just want to enjoy it for what it is, and not pay respects to him, but, you know, like, just like, you live your life in your journey, you live your life, I don't give a crap, you know, as long as you're not hurting animals or children, you do what you want to do. Seriously, don't give a shit, unless it's those aforementioned, and I just want to live life as easy as possible. Sorry, this went into, and I want to thank an Oscar for this thing in here. No, but you know what I mean? I just, I don't know, like, just it at that time it came without any the certain problems we have these days. You know what I mean? Like comedy, like straight or let me straight as in you know what, but
I know what you mean.
As in you know what I mean? Like even then, like Rebecca said that. Let's get this bitch. Try it. And good luck, because I ain't going nowhere. But yeah, I was gonna say something else. But you know, just the purity of humor, like, oh, that's funny or not funny, and the subjective and all this kind of stuff that comes with that. But let's just enjoy it for what it is.
100% agree.
Back then,
yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it is what it is. Back in the day, it's just I always look at it from that angle. But it's certainly, like I said, it holds up in one way.
Because
and
there's always going to be complainers. There's always going to be people who are unhappy. But literally anything you do. You could 100%. Be an angel sent from God above. You come down, there's someone going to say, I don't like you. Or like whatever.
The wings are not white enough.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like it does.
Feathers.
Definitely.
Who the fuck uses feathers? All right, so.
Who did you kill for that? You know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How many chickens had to die?
Their lives.
That is so sad.
I know, like 5 chickens had to die just so she could look that stupid.
Bessie get shot down. Yes.
So, all right, you want to go, Melanie?
Yeah, are you gonna go? I'll go. Okay. So yeah, 100% holds up. It's played on TV all the time. There's been and to me, every time I'm looking at a movie, whether it holds up or not, I'm looking at it as if you were to take this movie now and show a ton of people, would they enjoy it? Would they love it? Would they laugh? 100%. If somebody doesn't laugh at this movie, they got some other issues that they need to deal with on their own. The movie is hilarious. Robin Williams is freaking fantastic in everything that he does. He's an amazing person, and so sad what happened to him. I just love him. He just made everybody laugh around him, and you know, I don't honestly, even like you were saying, in that kind of a world where you can't say certain things or do certain things anymore like you could before, I don't see how anybody would have a problem with this. There's so many movies where it is a costume, either whether a guy's dressing up as a girl or a girl is dressing up as a guy. He dressed it up in a disguise, whatever it is. You know, he couldn't dress up as an animal and go get a job as a nanny. He's dressing up as someone he has to look 100% different, that his wife is going to hire. Somebody who looks trustable. looks more trustable than an old lady. So, I mean, it's more of like a disguise, really. It has nothing to do with gender or anything. So, I 100% think it holds up, and I don't see why anybody would have a problem with this. I think everybody should love this movie. It's great.
Yeah, any issues, like when I talked about earlier how one section wouldn't hold up about the fact that acting disgusted of the fact that I used to be a boy. You know what I mean? Like, when he said that on the phone. I was only pointing out that those particular moments probably wouldn't be added into the film today if it was made.
Yeah, that's my point.
He is such a strong actor and comedian that it makes it hold up today regardless, because I can't see anyone not having fun watching this. I mean, because he is so funny and so sincere on either side, so you really get both. Like, every time he's serious, you feel it. And by the way, I want to throw a nod to Howard Shore. I mean, really, it's hard to even picture the same guy that did Lord of the Rings did the movie for the music for this.
Oh yeah.
So he really helps set the mood as well. Like with Robin's acting, and I just think I think by the way, if they chose maybe somebody else to do this role, we might not be talking right now about what a phenomenal film this is.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it had to be him.
It really, yeah. No, but I'm saying, like, had they just chose another actor that was kind of funny but not really doing it like him, we probably
just like they wanted to do
the
the what do they call it? The second film thing. They didn't go with it in the end because he passed away. I think it was like 2006. They were going to do 2004 or 2003, then 2006, and then 2014. And then 4 months later he died, and they couldn't do anything. Yep. So it was like, no actor's gonna, like, you can't touch it unless you're him. It's like, just, well, you can try and good luck, but it will be completely different, and you'd always be, reminded you are not him.
Right.
He's
you can't
amazing.
replicate that. No way. But I really would like sequel. That's the word. So a sequel was planned, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But Robin Williams didn't like the plot or something.
Yeah, they couldn't get together on the
he
script.
was gonna, like, in his the daughter's dorms or something, which I thought would be freaking hilarious. I had it in my head, like, the scenes would have been so good.
Yeah,
you're looking at my daughter, and Mrs. Doubtfire, no, or something. I don't know. Then my head was like, all these different scenes could have been.
But sometimes we're way better off without it, because I always used to say, it'd be great if they did a Dumb and Dumber sequel. Oops.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And then they did.
Yeah.
It was like,
oh man. Panther. Chris just said he's watched the Black Panther 2 and it wasn't any good. And he said number 1 was really good. So.
Yep. Terrible.
Well,
so boring.
So that was our
original
show.
Ideas in Hollywood.
Agreed.
Right. It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was our show. I'd like to thank Rebecca for joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Could you tell everybody once again how to find you?
Yes, you could go to allmylinks.com/RVA, because I got bored once saying them all out loud and people fell asleep. But I do have RebeccaVocalAthlete.com. And there's YouTube, there's Spotify, and all those links as well. Rebecca Ray for my Spotify and my music. I won't bore you, so go to allmylinks.com/RVA. I hope that's it.
Excellent.
That's great.
I didn't get it wrong.
No,
thank you so much for being on here. I know you're super busy, and we really appreciate it. And you're amazing. You're funny. I love watching you. So thank you.
No, thank you. No. No, it's very sweet. And when I read it was like film, I was like, oh yes, film. I'm obsessed. Music and film is like, to me, they're just both as important as each other.
Love it.
Cool.
I love it, and it's nice to do this, and it's nice to talk about film, and
yeah,
as much as I love music, but
how was my vocal
in my heart as well.
That's what I want to know. I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
Who's my favorite?
No. I
thought you said who's my favorite. I was like,
no. How was my vocal performance? No, it's okay.
You have a good
your vocal.
Yeah.
Well, Chris has that great kind of voice,
perfect for radio.
And not a face.
He does.
Not the face for radio, but.
I was going to
Nothing
say
wrong with
he
your
has a
face.
face for radio and a voice for radio.
Yeah.
But you all do.
Yeah.
Beautiful people.
I appreciate it,
great.
Rebecca. Thank you
I
very
think I
much for
fell
coming on
asleep
the
to it,
show.
but in a good way. Like you should do meditations or something.
All right. New Headspace.
And relax.
The new Headspace.
Yeah.
It's
we'll get on
sponsored by Jack Daniels, but so
Yeah. So, well, I'd also like to thank Steve Lavoie for making Rebecca laugh at the beginning. He does our vocal imaging.
I didn't mean to.
So good.
And Draco and the Malfoys for our theme music. And I'd also so ask everybody please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really can help us out a lot. And so once again, I am Jay Fortier on the behalf of Chris Martineau and Melanie Howerton. I'd like to thank you for joining us again on the Film Crickets. And until next time, movies may not age like fine wine, but we drink it anyway. Bye.
Crickets, chirping about movies.